What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here, coming back at y'all with another 2-minute drill. April 6th, man, we are having a late Twitch live stream. It's really April 6th now. We're recording after midnight. We postponed it because of an awesome national championship game. Baylor Gonzaga. Congrats to the Baylor Bears on their first national championship. It makes me even more excited to have the voice of the Baylor Bears, John Morris, on in the coming weeks. We've been in contact. He's going to be our guy for Baylor for our Big 12 in 30 days. So I can't wait to talk to him. We're probably going to have to kick it off with a little bit of basketball talk. But, shout out to y'all for all the support on our last video with Jackson State and, talking about their game versus Southern. We had some great interaction in the comment section, man. And there's been a lot of support on our HBCU series that we're going to kick off there in the fall. And, right now we're really just covering Jackson State football. But moving forward, we're going to cover the entire SWAC conference this next season, this fall. So if you're someone who's a big SWAC football fan, your favorite team is in the SWAC, make sure to tune in, subscribe to our channel right now. But let's get into the news today. We got one topic, but it's huge news to say the least. West Virginia, or former West Virginia defensive back Tykee Smith, transfers to Georgia, man. It's been a rough, I would say, spring for Georgia down in Athens. I mean, the string of wide receiver injuries that we've seen, the inexperience on the back end of the defense. Well, at least one of those things was fixed this week. I mean, Tykee Smith was the second DB to transfer from West Virginia, and he decided to follow Jamil. I think it's Ade, who was hired as the new Georgia's defensive back coach, and so he follows Dre Brown, who went to Auburn, and Tykee was also considering Auburn. He ends up going to Georgia, follows his DB coach, and at West Virginia, Smith played the spear position, which is pretty much the equivalent of the star position found in a lot of SEC defenses, kind of that nickel back that is a very versatile defender that moves around a lot. He's 5'11", 195, perfect size for that back end of the defense. And he was the starter for 2 straight seasons for one of the best defenses in the country for the Mountaineers. He was an all Big 12 honorable mention this year. It followed his freshman All-American season when he made the freshman All-American team for the Big 12. And, this is okay. So this is a storyline that we followed on our podcast. So I know if y'all listen to us, y'all know this. But if you're new here, you're tuning into this video. West Virginia had the most underrated defense in the entire country last year. They had the number 1 pass defense in the country in terms of yards allowed per game, and per attempt, it was still top 10. And this was such a need for Georgia, guys. I mean, I have some Georgia people I talked to, and I texted after this transfer, and they were all so hyped for what the Bulldogs got here. I mean, you look at the secondary that the Bulldogs have, they have 0 returning starts at cornerback, and they only have two games of starting experience on the back end of that defense at safety. Whether it be transfers, I think Tyreek Stevenson is headed down to Miami. They had Eric Stokes head to the NFL draft. They've had a lot of turnover in that back end of the defense. You look at Tykee, and he racked up over 110 tackles, 10 for loss, 1 sack, 4 picks, 9 pass breakups, and took one of them back for a touchdown in his 2 years at West Virginia. But the advanced analytics is where I think his value really shines. A lot of people have been talking about this as a game-changing transfer for Georgia. And if you don't really dive into the deep analytics, I don't think that's going to pop out for how valuable he was at that spear position in the West Virginia defense. He graded out at a 90 for Pro Football Focus. That was, I believe, top 10 in the country in just terms of overall coverage grade last season. He only allowed 110 yards total in coverage last year. I don't care if especially in the Big 12, I don't care what conference you play in, to only allow 110 yards on your watch in coverage is an elite output. And he never allowed more than 27 yards in a single game last year, guys. And This is going up against Brock Purdy, Sam Ellinger, Spencer Radler. I mean, put whoever you want. Even Max Duggan at TCU is the side of the quarterback too. He only allowed 2.9 yards per target last season. So this dude is a shut down defensive back. And playing that spear or star position, depending on the terminology you want to use, shows his versatility and where he can play in the defense. And I think if Georgia needs him to come down and step into a corner role, I think he can. But at the same time, he has the athleticism to line up at deep safety. He can. He's big. I guess he's not really big enough, but he's physical enough to really step into the box and be a factor in the run game as well, which is shown by his over 110 tackles in 2 years. He was the leader of a defense that was very underrated. I said it was number one in the country in passing defense. He should have plenty of knowledge about the scheme. He's sticking with the same DB coach where he's had 2 years of high level success. And him knowing this scheme, him being familiar with the coach, him being eligible, it should decrease that learning curve, and it allows him to step immediately in. And in these spring practices, in these summer practices, and even into fall camp, he's able to just hit the ground running. And that does wonder because Georgia opens up with Clemson. You are going to have to be ready to play immediately at Georgia. And for him to already have knowledge of the system, the coaching staff, what's expected of him is invaluable for this transfer. And I think that's why people are more excited about this transfer than the Dre transfer to Auburn, because he's having to learn a whole new system. He's getting to campus late. You don't get this here with Tykee Smith. He's going to have 2 years of eligibility left. That's big. I don't think a lot of people are, talking about that. But the general consensus right now in terms of scouting that I've been reading is that he's going to leave. This is a 3-year type of guy. He's not going to stick around for a senior year unless an injury or something drastic happens. He's NFL ready right now, and he's going to step into this Georgia team, and he's going to be on the biggest stage under the brightest lights, and they think his draft stock is going to soar. And so I expect them, I don't think Georgia's done here. So this brings them to 83 scholarship players. The limit's 85. They have 2 more spots open. And with the string of wide receiving injuries they've had, I think they're going to target a wide receiver. And they still, if a high-level cornerback or something like that comes open, I can see them going after another one. I understand they have some talented guys coming back on that defense, but if there's someone that's a high-level defender with some experience, it's always good to have them in the backfield, not even just, to contribute immediately, but just to get those other young guys ready. And for me, Tykee, first of all, brings experience. He brings the versatility I've talked about. He brings playmaking ability. We see the stats. We see the advanced analytics that show how good he is in coverage. And he also brings this leadership quality to a young Bulldogs defense. The front end is going to have the leaders. They got some linebackers that have some experience, but who was going to be that guy on the back end of the defense when you needed a play where you're you're facing a lot of adversity? Who's going to put the team in the best spot to succeed? Who's going to help those young guys on the outside? Who's going to help this coaching staff get these boys ready to play? Tykee Smith's going to be that guy now. And Georgia was on him immediately in the portal. This really, from what I was reading, was an Auburn-Georgia race because he was going to either follow his teammate or follow his coach. I think he made a good decision going to Georgia because Auburn now has his former teammate and also Smoke Monday on the back end, along with, a lot of other talented cornerbacks. So the need was there more so for Georgia, I think, at safety or at that star position. For me, for Tykee, his biggest thing is tackling. He is an excellent elite tackler. He's excellent at ball pursuit. That's probably his best quality, is just pursuing the ball, understanding where the quarterback's going to go with the ball on run plays, understanding the angles he needs to take and the path he needs to get there to make a play immediately. And let's not get mistaken. This dude will come for someone's soul when he gets moving downhill. If you think that just because he's a little bit maybe undersized, he's not the biggest dude in the world, he will take your head off if you give him the chance. And I love the aggression, the passion he plays with. And I think that was infectious in the back end of the West Virginia defense. If you're listening and you didn't get to watch a lot of West Virginia games, go back and watch some film on all these guys. every single person that was in the defensive backfield for West Virginia was elite. And I'm really excited to see how, but all the transfers succeed and also how West Virginia recovers after losing these guys. I expect Tykee to really make a run at an all SEC spot. I think he's an all American talent, even in the SEC. And I think he's going to be able to make an immediate impact for Georgia. And for me, so y'all know I'm kind of tough on rating these with these transfers. Rivals does the 1 out of 10 scale. I still like to keep it on a 1 to 100 scale with kind of each, really 50 to 100. If I go to 0, then probably not even going to cover it on the podcast. But for me, this is as close to an A plus as you can get. I'm looking at like a 95, 96 out of 100 rating in terms of the impact of this transfer. And I know that's tough, but when you get a guy who can allow under 120 yards of total offense in a season, he can allow less than 3 yards per attempt. He only allowed 1 touchdown the entire season in coverage, and that was in a pass-heavy Big 12 conference. Listen, there's no better, I guess, player to get here for Georgia. They needed a star. They needed a safety. They got him in Tykee Smith. And so I expect him to make an impact. So I'm going to go with an A plus and put it at like a 95, 96 in terms of the impact of this transfer. So y'all let me know what y'all think about Tykee Smith. I think it's an immediate impact for Georgia. It was the biggest need, and I think this puts them right back into the national championship contention. They get the experience. Now, I want to see what they do at wide receiver, so I'm going to update y'all on kind of the rumblings I see on 247 Sports about what they could do in the transfer portal in terms of receiver, what George Pickens' injury is looking like down the road, and what those young wide receivers are looking like in practice. But we'll get to all that, guys. So as y'all know, man, I appreciate all y'all tuning in on Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, man, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The Bluebloods CFB will be live streaming on here every night. We do the 2-minute drill. We're a little late tonight, but we had to catch the national championship. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, man. We're up almost at 70 subscribers. If we get to 100, already told y'all we're doing a big merch giveaway to 5 lucky subscribers we're going to pick randomly. So go ahead and enter yourself in there and subscribe now. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, man. It helps us get this content out. If you're not busy, man, make sure to go check out our interview with Wyatt Thompson, play-by-play guy for Kansas State football. It was an amazing interview. And go check out some previous 2-minute drills, especially our Jackson State ones. Those are so much fun. And all the other rumblings and everything from the NFL draft, transfer portal, and spring practices that we've got on here. But I appreciate y'all, man. I'll be back here tomorrow night, or really tonight since it's after midnight. But I appreciate y'all, man. But for myself, the Bluebloods, and the 2-minute drill, man, we are out.